This podcast contains potentially adult language, adult themes, definitely drinking, and possibly sexual context. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome to Drinking with Authors, the Literary Briefs edition. I'm your host, Erica Lance. My amazing co-host today, who seems to be staring around looking for something on her desk, is C.R. Wright.
The fan just kicked on and my desk is covered in papers with notes and they all just... So like I was trying to catch them, but also like not look like a crazed person flailing over here. Clearly it did not work.
Anyone who's watching the YouTube can decide how crazy CR looks on the thing. And our amazing guest today is Dee Lambert. Woo! Stop grabbing at papers. Okay. Also, our sponsor today is Skunk Brothers Spirits. I'm holding up one of their chocolate cordials. I just opened it today and put it in hot chocolate like a boss. CR, what are you drinking?
I won't do my spiel. I am drinking Gatorade and vodka.
You're not going to say how you're doing that because you weren't feeling good.
So I was feeling really
crappy
thing? Earlier. Yeah, I was feeling really crappy earlier. Like maybe my electrolytes were low. So I was like, I also have to drink. So pop that some Gatorade and some vodka and here we are.
Hey, it makes up for the electrolytes you lose while drinking. No, don't listen. None of this is medical advice.
None of this is medical advice. It's just
Mine doesn't matter. You're doing better now. You said you were. Yeah. See, it worked.
See, I'm practically a doctor at this point.
No. None of that is accurate. We're going to stop right there. None of that is accurate. Dee, what are you drinking to stop the insanity of what she's saying?
Much tamer than Gatorade and vodka. I am drinking, it's called a French Beach out here. And that is basically a London fog is what it is. So it's a tea with milk and lavender.
I love lavender. Lavender is one of my favorite
In
things.
small doses, lavender is excellent. In large doses, it tastes like soap.
No, but I get a lot of like lavender hand soap. My boyfriend teases me about this because if there's a scent and it's lavender, you know, like there's lemon, blah, 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 lavender. I'm always going to get the lavender ones. And he's like, is there any soap in this house that doesn't smell like lavender?
I'm going to have to never use your soap. Otherwise I'll be covered in hives.
Oh, you're allergic?
No.
Yeah, I get like all the little spots. My mom used to, because my mom had lavender in the garden, she used to like have to duct tape the oven mitts to my hands because I always went out and played with it because it's so pretty. And I was a kid and I was dumb. So oven mitts.
Yes, I feel like I have a lot of friends with weird allergies. That's weird. I have another friend who is allergic to rosemary.
Really?
That's tricky.
Yeah.
They put that in everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm allergic to coconut. When I was a kid, they didn't put it in as much. It was like you got coconut macaroons, coconut cream pie, or mounds, like an almond joy. That was it. Now palm oil has sneaked its way into every single thing in the world. And I'll have conversations with people and I'll be like, is there coconut in that? And they're like, no. And I'm like, is there palm oil in that? Well, yeah. And the palm tree has a coconut on the palm tree.
They're a little related.
Yes. Yeah, that's what. Okay, cool. I almost died. Bye. Okay, Dee, what is your favorite book of all time?
Favorite book of all time? Totally off the Hatchet.
Ooh, why?
I just read it at the right time in my age, the right time in my life. And it really spoke to me. I thought it was amazing adventure. And it was just super well done. And so spoke to me at the time. So it still sticks with me that I would love. That's my favorite, The Hatchet.
Do you reread books?
Not usually, to be honest, not very much. Once you've read it, I feel like I know what happens. Takes kind of the fun out of it.
But you missed so much the first time.
I have reread some, but no, mostly, I guess it came from how I grew up. I didn't have a huge library. Like I had one little bookshelf, but I had a library card. And so I was constantly at the library and I'd like read everything on the fantasy section until there was no book I hadn't seen and have to make requests from the other libraries because I ran out of things. But as a result, I basically never reread. I had like 4 or 5 books that I had kept and I would reread, but for the most part, obviously not keeping them from the library. I would get my own copy and then keep it.
That's
But
okay.
otherwise,
Everyone has a library book somewhere. Like,
whoops. Anyway, but yeah, I would end up returning them, and there's just no way that they would necessarily be there the next time. So that's just stuck with me.
oh wow. What is a book that you absolutely didn't enjoy reading?
Ooh, this one's kind of weird. The second book, forgive me, I can't remember the name of it now. It's blanked. Sword of Truth series. Sword of Truth, second book. Because I predicted everything that was going to happen in it, and it annoyed me when it did. So
I have to say, Sword of Truth was one of my favorite. The first book was one of my favorites because the bad guy was really a bad guy.
Yes.
That's
oh my gosh,
he
freaked me out. What was his name? Rail. Anyway, he was bona fide nasty. But the second book was basically everyone saying, Richard, don't do this. And whatever happens, don't do this.
It was the same way with the show.
Don't do this. And then he went and was like, maybe I should do that thing that everyone told me not to. Oh, wait, I won't. Like,
it was the same way with the Legend of the Seeker, though. Like when they turned it into a show, I was so excited. The first season, mind blowing. Second season was like,
such a
then third, I was just like, you know what?
No,
like,
I gave up.
Yeah.
Disappointing because it's such potential. Like there was good material, and I actually enjoyed the third book more than I enjoyed the second. Weird.
It makes you wonder. Like this is why we do this podcast. What were the authors thinking at the time? Inquiring minds want to know. What about a book to TV or movie series? What is your favorite book that they turned into a TV show or miniseries? Meaning like they did well with the movie or the show or whatever.
I still think they did awesome with Lord of the Rings. That series was incredibly well done in my mind. I know that they tweaked a few things, but in general, incredibly well done. That's got to be my favorite.
Yeah, well, they had to tweak some stuff because unless you read the books, you would never get what the hell was happening.
There was so much of this, 3 pages of something random going on the side. You're like, and that's why he had a knife at the time. You're like, what?
Exactly. Well, I was going to say, and Arwen just shows up at the end with the flag, and everybody's like, what? Who is this elf here?
Yeah, no, they had to tweak a few things.
Yeah. What about one they did badly with that you were like, oh, I really wish
I could just keep going with that series because The Hobbit was abysmal.
Okay, see, this is one that always starts a fight.
No fighting. No fighting.
They tried to combine too much source material and it became just an absolute, it's like that whole thing with like the forest and then we just have to rush everything like you were talking about earlier. That's what happened.
The Hobbit movies.
I know. Like, you're the minority and not the majority, CR. I love you to death.
Yes. But it's so amazing. But I will say, so this is one of the things. I definitely saw the movies before I read the book. Because the movies had come out. The movies had come out and my husband loves everything about it. Like he's actually playing the Sword of Mordor right now. So like he loves everything about it. So I watched the movies. He lied to me about I was very upset at the end, and then I read the book, but I love it. I think the cast choices were amazing. The storyline is fantastic. I love it, but it has started in many of fights on this podcast.
Yes, it has. So we're going to move away from that. I should actually just warn guests.
Like,
I'm going to ask you this question. If it involves either of these 2 series, please don't mention it and make up something else. Here's a list of things you can say instead. Do you listen to music while you're writing?
Absolutely all the time.
What kind of music?
I have 2 things that I listen to. One is I will totally go onto YouTube and listen to those like long 2 hours of ambient, whatever, tragic music or seafaring music or whatever the theme is that I'm trying to go for. So I'll do those ones when I'm writing new stuff. But I have playlists. So when I hear a song and it really connects with me for one of the stories or one of the characters or the world or whatever, it goes on a playlist on my iTunes. And that's what I love to listen to as well, especially if you're trying to get like back in the mode to do the next book or to finish that series or finish that book. Having that music cueing, even when you're out and about, it's really helpful. It just keeps your mind in the game, basically. And so those ones are the ones I play. I can do, some people say like the whole, can you do it with words or not with words and things like that? I can have it with words if it's a song I know. If it's a new song, it's distracting for some reason if it has words, so I can do the wordless ones. Is that a word? Wordless. I feel like vocalless.
Yes,
I feel like there's a specific term for that.
Wordless is a
Wordless
I
word.
want to use
not the right
wordless
term.
from now on. Do you listen to wordless music?
Wordless music. It's like, what is the word for that? Anyway,
I think it's instrumental is
That's the
we're
word I'm
going
looking
It's
for.
what it's called, yeah.
yes, I was like, I can't remember.
Survey says no, just kidding.
Thank God someone knows what they're talking about.
Let's take a vote.
I was gonna say London fog, supposedly. London
I'm
fog.
not even getting
It's
alcohol
fine.
as an excuse.
So what about posting your playlist? Do you post the playlist you have like on your website or anything like that for others to enjoy?
You know, I share, so I have done little bits and pieces of it. Before the release of, I think it was Soul Burner, I had a song that I recommended once a week leading up to it that associated with a certain character. So each character got kind of their theme song released onto the social media stuff. And every time I do a newsletter, because I think music is so important, I have a recommended song. It's not always to do with the books. It can actually be just anything that I've come across or something that has spoken to me previously. So there's always every month a musical recommendation. Overall, though, I was debating whether or not I should put out the actual playlist. I don't know if people would be interested in it and take a look, but
People are interested all the time, and I'll tell you honestly, you can create a playlist not on iTunes as easily, but on Spotify, and list the Spotify playlist, just the name of it, and people will absolutely tap into that. You'd be amazed how many people are like, yes, and they're reading, and they'll come tell you in person how like, oh my gosh, I listened to your playlist and I read your book. And it might get creepy. You might want to take the creep factor down, but I know a lot of authors that do that and it's gotten very positive results. So depends on
Does
how
the
creepy.
music- But does the music you're listening to have to do with what you're writing?
usually yes. Like the songs
Okay.
themselves either tie into a character, or oftentimes it's a character under a certain circumstance. So every time I hear a certain song, I'm like, oh, that's when he was storming the city and lost his sword or whatever. That really speaks to me, so it brings it to mind. So there are certain moments. The hard part of the playlist is you could listen to it and it will be at a different pace than if you were reading the book, though. And I feel like, what do? Put a little star and be like, listen to this song right here. And then
There are some
get the
people
full
that do
impact.
that. They do lists, like I've noticed in a lot of books lately, like at the beginning of the book, like, you know, where it's normally like that table of contents.
yeah, I've seen
They
that a few
have the
times.
musical table of contents, and then at the beginning of each thing, it says which song goes with which chapter or whatever it
Be
is.
interesting to be like, page 24, that's when you start this song. It wouldn't be enough
Yes.
for a full soundtrack, but it's still like, it's really neat to see getting the full experience, like not only just the visual, like what you're reading, but also the auditory. And
I think
Do you
people would
listen to a
tweak
lot
out.
of audiobooks? I know you have audiobooks now, but do you
I
listen to
don't.
audiobooks?
Before I started having an audiobook released, I had to like go and buy one to actually listen to one to see what it was about. My husband listens to them a ton. He does more driving, and so he has Audible, and he just constantly has a book listening or talking to him. And I did listen to it, and I realized that the voice actor makes a big difference as to whether or not you can enjoy a book or not. So I did enjoy the book the one I did read. That was Daughter of the Salt King. I cannot remember the author, which I feel bad about. Anyway, it was very well done. It also satisfied my need to try and branch out and learn a little bit more about romance, because that's one thing I feel like I want to improve on. So I've read a couple of romance novels, as well as that one was it's a low key but really sweet romance book as well. So I got through it, and it was a good read or listen, I guess. I enjoyed it. The problem we have with audiobooks in my household is we have 2 small children, and sometimes they just throw out some terminology you shouldn't have your 7-year-old in the room for. So we have to be careful when we actually have those things playing.
No, that makes sense. So what was it like hearing your audiobook back at you?
It was hilarious. Because we got to pick, right? Like you get to pick which voice you want to use. And there was one that I was like, you sound like a typewriter to me. Like, please don't. But then the one that we picked, I really did it. I loved his voice. And it was just exotic enough. Like it made sense for a foreign world. So I really, really loved hearing the words coming around, but it was also really kind of freaky at the same time to hear someone else reading it.
No, I know what that's like. CR's audiobooks are coming here very, very shortly, so she'll get to hear that. She hasn't had that experience yet. She's had the weirdest luck when it comes to audiobook
It matters, doesn't it? Like trying to find the right voice for it.
It definitely does. And when they switch from like girl to guy voices and they just for some reason like, oh, this is a man. And it's like, okay, but like there's so many ways to do that. Like that's gonna burn after a while. But yeah, it's really weird hearing it.
No, I agree.
I had a scene where they were having, I think there was 3 characters in the room. And in my head, they had inverted the voice that they were using for 2 of them. So one of them was a more light tenor kind of voice, and one of them was a much more deep bass kind of voice. And it was just so backwards to my head because I was like, no, Dragall has the bass, totally has the bass. That's not right. But I mean, every little nuance, I don't think I can really dictate for it. So anyway, it was really weird to hear because it's like when you read a book and you have like your picture of what the character should look like, and then you see a picture of them or on the cover or something, you're like, that's not what they look like or not what I thought they looked like. It really throws you off. And now I realize there's another dimension to it. It's like, that's not what the character sounded like in my head. But now, someone's telling me what it sounds like. It's weird.
I'm sorry, that's actually really funny. I've never heard anybody say that. I don't think they sounded like that.
Does it not sound like, you have the voice in your head to what you think that character sounds like, and they throw it off. So it's a little jarring.
Oh my goodness. Has your husband read or listened to your books?
Yes, he actually just picked up the audiobook for Ryden. He told me this afternoon. He's like, I've picked it up. I bought it. So he's got to start listening to it. He's read pretty much all of my stuff at various times. But the trouble he has is he's my sounding board for some stuff. Like I did one the other night where it's like he's stuck in this spell, but he could walk through it. So why aren't we just walking through it? Like this moment of realization when you're like, you're not actually stuck. You could just literally walk out that door. So what's stopping you? So I was talking to him about that. He's a really good sounding board. He just sits there and nods while I talk. And then eventually I go, oh wait, I've solved it. And then I run away. And he's like, okay, good, talk.
Author spouses are superheroes. Author spouses, man, they just don't get enough credit. Like you think the authors, like everybody's always like, oh my God, it's so amazing. You did so great. Meanwhile, you have an exhausted spouse behind you. That's just like, I got woken up at 2 a.m. to figure out if we should pick a different name.
Yeah, I'm trying here. But I actually I have to, because I talked to him so much about it, he gets confused as to what's real and what isn't. Like what was a theory and what actually happened in the end. So what actually happened in the book, because he may have read an earlier incarnation and then I'll be like, oh, but I changed that part. He's like, I'm lost. I don't know. Just before we were getting together, and he at one point turned around and was like, okay, you're going to have to explain your stories to me so that I can kind of keep up to these conversations. We were traveling at the time. And so we took literally 36 hours where I swear I didn't stop talking except to sleep. And I explained the entire world and all the stories to him. But it seriously took a day and a half. And we just walked around parks and whatnot. And it's like, okay, so how does that fit in with this guy? And I'm like, well, this guy's over here doing this. And anyway, it was 36 hours before I finally stopped, and I didn't have a voice for a couple of days.
Oh my goodness. So mine is, of course, I write 2 different genres, but in the horror genre, I guess I get a look on my face when I get an idea for something, and it's normally a fairly dreadful idea, but I get this look and my boyfriend will go, what just happened? Who died? And I'm like, not dead. And he's like, I don't want to hear it. No, wait, tell it to me. No, I don't want to hear it.
You gotta see into your world, but I'm not sure I'll follow.
Yeah, no, no, none of that.
Corey always does the when did I lose you? Because eventually he'll be like, don't you think so? And I'll be like, yeah. And he's like, I haven't said anything in 5 minutes. And I'm like, that's what I was agreeing to.
Yeah.
Obviously. I'm
gonna go get another drink.
Exactly.
Okay, so your questions are amazeballs. Let's go into those ones.
Okay, so what is your favorite mythological creature?
I won't be cliche and say dragons. I know they're cool. That's fine. Right now, I might pronounce it wrong, but the Nucklavi, which is a Scottish myth. This is a creature that I did a research on, and I have a story written for it. One day that'll see the light of day, because it's just so different. So this is a creature that is a horse, strictly speaking. If I remember correctly, it has a rider that's basically fused to it. So the rider has no legs. So if you can imagine that horse, but with a rider sticking out, so the head at the top has one eye in it. The horse has its own eyes. It's described as having transparent skin with black blood. Smells of sulfur and rotten seaweed, and will trample you if you burn seaweed on the beach. It's a fairy creature, and it's a kind of a demon thing. And I love that visual, like so different.
Wow,
everybody jumping on this
by
one.
walking by and smell like puffing or breathing on crops will wilt them. It's like just amazingly disgusting and completely unknown creature.
Sure.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, I got a different follow-up question. We're going to add this to our repertoire. We can thank the chocolate cordial. What creature would you absolutely not want to be? Like if it was a random roll and you're going to end up as a paranormal creature, what creature would you be like, this is ridiculous, I want out?
Probably one of those classic little fairies. Like the little dinky ones with the little feathers and they're putzing around playing with petals. I just...
You mean pixies?
Like, yeah, the little tiny fairies. Like, I mean, there's different incarnations depending on what mythological system you go by.
Right.
But yeah, like a little tiny pixie. It just so not me. I think I would be really annoyed by it. Going from one extreme to the other, totally grotesque to incredibly cute.
Well, I was going to say we have a like that description was horrific.
So
Miss,
cool.
I don't like horror. And then you're like, you know what? I don't want to be a cute little fairy. Like
No, really.
You know
not.
the cute ones with like the shimmery wings?
Yeah, there's
No.
like with transparent ones and the tiny little dresses that don't work from a gravity perspective. All those kind of ones.
Well, they're
Very
fairies.
The fairies
Okay.
magic, right? How does her dress stay up?
Exactly.
Magic.
Absolutely. How do they not, die every time the wind blows? But more fun questions. If you could be any main character in a book, but you have to live their story, what would it be?
That is a hard one. Main character in a book.
Mhm.
Okay. This is an old one for me. There's a book called Catherine called Birdie. And it's a story about a young girl who, it's a series of journal entries, but anyway, it's in the medieval ages as she's trying to figure out this whole like expectations for being a woman and all this kind of stuff. I would love to be her because she's just got this spark of attitude throughout, and her story does work out in the end, even though there's some like terrible suitors in the mix and all this kind of stuff. Catherine called Birdie. And my favorite part about her was that she learned that apparently curses were often used by like parts of God's anatomy. So you'd have like God's nose or something like that. So she chose her personal curse to be God's thumbs. So all the way through, it's God's thumbs. So I just feel like that's a fun character.
I like
Okay.
Happy ending too, which is fun.
All right. What about who would you have be your sidekick
From any book?
from any book?
Sword of Truth, probably. Kalan.
Kaylin?
Oh, see, I read it. I don't know. I can pronounce it.
Yeah,
Yes.
Kaylin. Only reason why I know is I went to school with a girl that had
With
it
the-
exactly
with the
spelled
H.
right.
Okay.
And I was like, and what's your name? And she's like, right here, Kaylin. I was like, oh, I was just checking. I was
It's just checking the pronunciation.
Yes, exactly.
It's,
yeah,
you
she's-
know what's
okay.
interesting is to hear authors pronounce names of their characters. I don't know if you've ever done this, but if you go to an author panel and it's not like just Bob, Sally, whatever, and somebody's pronouncing the name and you're like, oh dear God, I've been saying that wrong like forever. There was a book recently that the Sword of Shannara, no, I'm saying it wrong. They pronounce it differently. It's not that.
See, I always said Shannara.
I thought it was Shannara too, but it's anyway.
Isn't it
My friend
Shahara?
went and it's
That's probably
something,
an
and the author like it was set, and she was like, what? That's not how I've been pronouncing it this entire time. Cool beans. Cool.
It's like, what book is that? Which one is that? And she starts talking about it, you're like,
Exactly.
oh.
Oh,
We're talking about the
one
same thing, and it's just different. What happens when you
Okay.
read things instead of like hearing them or seeing them, right? Like you just make up you hear it in your head. And so
Well, especially, hooked on phonics is a very interesting thing because I have friends that read so much, and I've been in restaurants with them, and they're very well read, like very well read. And this is before the internet and before videos and things like that, or even audiobooks were really a thing. You could get them on tape, right? But I was sitting down to dinner one time, and she's like, "Can I have mozzarella sticks with Mari Rari sauce?" And I was like, "Do you mean marinara sauce?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then she pointed to it, and I was like,
I can
okay.
see how that could happen. And you should never
Yeah.
make fun of somebody for pronouncing it wrong because it means they learned it by reading.
Exactly. Okay, CR, keep going.
Okay, what is on your I'll never do it again list?
Like a reverse bucket list. Like
A reverse
I
bucket
would
list.
never
I've
do
done
this
it
again.
and I won't do it again.
Yes.
A cruise.
Why does everybody say
Ooh.
that?
I went on a cruise and I liked the concepts of it. And then I learned more about so many other factors. And of course, then there's COVID too. But it was before
Okay,
COVID. I
but
made
did
up
you
my
get
mind.
the drink package?
I did not, but I was also traveling with a
See, that's what you
3-year-old. So
did.
it was a bad idea. Like you need to bring a
They
sitter.
have daycare on boats.
They do, but the 3-year-olds, yeah, he got kicked out of daycare a few times. So it was not sorry.
Oh, that one's going to be a great teenager.
Yeah. So it wasn't always very relaxing when you're walking around with a pager just in case they need to call you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but yeah, I don't think I do the cruise again now, just with everything that's been going on.
We
I think
did
it's fun,
one
but basically if you're
couple months
once you're
ago.
on a cruise, it's like, how do we get you to spend more money? And if you're clever about it, you can like totally milk the system and you get swag
Absolutely.
and fun and all that kind of stuff. But you still have to be constantly on alert for being like, are you going to try and bill me for something? Because they're constantly trying to sell you something. At least the cruise.
I
line is
never
like-
have that. We go on like 2 a year. Like we just got back a couple months ago. Like we get the drink package. We end up making friends with all the bartenders and like the entertainment people. And like then we just get everything for free anyways.
Well, I love the shows and stuff like that. Like they were so much.
Yes.
It was fun. Like it had it did have a lot of potential, but I don't think I'd do it again.
You do not have to defend your choice. This is
You don't.
Yeah.
I just always ask follow-up questions.
Oh,
I'm
great.
genuinely curious as to why people make their decisions.
Okay, well, do the reverse question.
Okay,
CR.
what is on your bucket list?
Going
Like
to
if
Japan.
you could do the top thing.
Top
Agreed.
thing. Our next one is Japan if we can do it.
Yes.
So that's it's more of my husband's more than anything, but at the same time, I've been involved in some of the reasonings behind that. And so I'm keen to go and explore that as well.
Oh, I hope you go during cherry
nice.
blossom time. I heard it's
Oh, it'd be
amazing
beautiful.
during cherry blossom
Yes,
time.
it's supposed to be, but it's supposed to be one of the hardest times to go because they get so
Because
overrun.
everybody wants to. Yeah. There.
Yeah, I guess you could go to DC and see cherry blossoms.
I mean,
too.
honestly, I can go downtown Victoria and see cherry blossoms. Sorry, we
Okay,
get them
you
all
know
the
what?
time.
Do
We don't get
not-
snow. It rains cherry blossoms.
You know what? We don't need you to rub it in with
We
the
don't
cherry
have snow.
blossom.
It's great.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So
Okay,
go for it. You're lined up. I see that. Never mind. You're locked
Okay.
and loaded. Go.
so what is your favorite weird food combination? Like the weirdest thing you've ever eaten and thoroughly enjoy?
It's not weird to say apples, pie, and cheese, is it?
Yes.
Together?
Yes.
At the
Oh,
same
see,
time?
it's I don't know if it's a Canadian thing or an East Coast thing or what. Apple pie,
Where's my weird food list?
cheddar cheese. Okay.
Cheddar,
Apple pie,
like melted
cheddar
on the
cheese.
pie?
Slice of cheddar cheese beside with a little
Like instead of ice cream, you put
Yes.
cheese?
yes, cheese, cheddar cheese, apple
and-
pie. It's
And
not
this is
hard.
intentional?
Yes.
Put it on the list.
I
See,
suppose
it's on the
list.
because I can't
I'm
have dairy
writing it
anymore.
right
but-
now.
Good, try it.
I'm gonna have to do that. I love cheddar cheese. I love apple pie.
You can let me know how it goes.
We will. We have a whole list going from what
We
authors
do.
have told us, and we're gonna eventually make ourselves very sick going down the
Trying it all.
list. There's one.
Yes.
There's one CR won't do that involves fish eyes, but I think that's Bailey. inappropriately.
Corey is so excited about that one. He's like, just let me know when because
it's
it
done.
hasn't, I don't think it's been uploaded yet, right? No,
No,
wait,
it's
yes, it
uploaded.
has.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna write down her recipe, I'm gonna do the entire thing, and then I'm gonna sit and wait. And I was like, you're so supportive. You're
That
just
is
so
being supportive.
No, it's not, because he knows exactly what's gonna happen.
True story. That's a true story. What is your writing environment like? Can you write anywhere, or do you need to be at like a desk? Like, where is your writing? Because you wrote all this when you were in school, but were you able to just take your laptop everywhere with you and do it?
Basically, I squeeze in writing 5 minutes at a time sometimes because I only get 5 minutes at a time sometimes. So I write mostly in the evening, so it's the kitchen table. But honestly, if I have my computer or my notebook with me, it's anywhere, anytime. Just I can do it pretty much whatever, coffee shops, whatever, bus stops, doesn't matter.
Well, that makes sense.
It's
I think-
nice. I know people are more strict about it, but no,
well, there are
I
some
will do it.
people that have to be in a closed room with complete silence.
Exactly, and I don't have that luxury. Like there's no way that I can guarantee I'm going to get that situation regularly. So if I had to be that specific, I wouldn't be a writer. So I just squeeze it in where I can when I can.
I
Very
would say
cool.
we've had a lot of creepy basement writers lately.
Just a dark room or something, like
Yeah,
No,
no, literally writing in their basements.
just hiding it. Well, I had one that called us once from, I think it was like the hot water tank room or something like that, like this tiny little offsuit of the garage. She was calling into the writers group, and it was like this, where are you? She was like, I'm in the utilities closet.
Well,
for
Okay.
people, they have to find their mojo
It's
somewhere.
private.
I know.
It's quiet.
I think John Dover, I want to say it's John Dover, and he'll kill me when he listens to this and says that wasn't me, but it's fine. John, I love you. He used to write in a bar all the time. He had like a stool and he would go write in the bar all the time. And
I've done
that was his thing.
I've done
and-
that. Yep.
Then COVID and it all shut down and he couldn't go right in the bar anymore. But he was
Mhm.
like, I'd grab my laptop, go have a drink. His character's name was Johnny Scotch, and that's where he'd write. So
Yeah. I gotta say, in my head, when people say the basement, I think the creepy basement with the leaky pipes and the lights. Meanwhile, they're probably fully like
Fully
furnished,
finished with
beautiful
lights, yeah.
things. Yes.
I was picturing the same though, like with the studs exposed and like the swinging single light bulb. Like that's what I was thinking.
See? Okay, so that's natural.
okay, so from two non-horror writers, I think that's terribly interesting that that's where you guys went with that. So I'm at the lower level of my house. It has windows though, so I guess it
It's-
I was
doesn't.
gonna
Sounds
say you have
nice.
windows.
The lower level sounds better than basement.
Yes, because it's not legitimately a basement. It's built into a mountain, so the lower level of the
Mhm.
because everything's on a diagonal. I don't know. The whole house could slide down the mountain one day. I'm not sure. So with that, I could go on a story. It'll be fun. It'll be exciting. See our final question.
Okay, if you found $1 million in the middle of nowhere, what would you do with it?
Pay off the mortgage first. That's
Yes.
that's a boring answer.
Like I found $980,000 or $800,000.
Yeah, no.
No,
That'd
we'd
be
do
the
better
first
than
thing I'd do is pay off the mortgage. So
well, but then you got some leftovers, I hope. I mean, it depends.
oh
what
yeah,
your
no.
your
Oh my
home
God, this is
costs, I
not $1 million
guess.
house.
It's a really, really big, expensive house then. But yeah, pay off the mortgage. Honestly, I would probably do some traveling. Like I really miss going out and seeing these places that I haven't been. I'd like to go to different continents. I've got some ticked off. I've never been to Australia or New Zealand or, like I said, Japan. There's places that I really want to go and see. So that's probably where I would funnel a lot of that.
Well, maybe
Like
we can
a-
get you on a world book tour and then you could just go
Wouldn't
to
that be
all the
fancy?
places. That would be fun. We're going to be working on world book tours. We're going to be working on book tours and then world book tours. That's
Baby steps.
Yeah, baby steps, but we're going to get there. No, that's
You gotta
very, very
run
cool.
before you walk.
That's it.
I say we go straight to running.
You know me. I'm like, do I have roller skates? Let's go. No, just kidding.
Yes.
Okay, so shameless self-promotion time. Let's talk about your book coming out and how to find you.
All right, so newest book coming out is Northlander, coming out in May. Just coming up now. The new cover is out and very excited about that. You can find me on most social media locations as Dlambertauthor. Facebook, Instagram, and of course the website, Dlambertauthor.com. It also will let you sign up for the newsletter, which will give you all the latest and greatest info, including deals like from myself as well as other authors, and also keep you appraised of all of the newest information as things come out and are available.
Very, very cool. Thank you so much for being on this program with us. It's been super exciting. I appreciate it. So this has been Drinking with Authors, the Literary Briefs edition. I've been your host, Erica Lance. Our sponsor has been, I'm doing it, it's fine, my lips are working, Skunk Brothers Spirits. DWA10 is the coupon code. Don't forget to support them. They're family and veteran owned in Washington State. My co-host has been the amazing CR Rice, and our guest has been Dee Lambert, and we will see you guys next time.